Nice.
Welcome to the IDP Guys Week 12 Start Sit Show. I'm joined here by Michael Sicoli and Sean. Lights on, Sean Merriman. I love it. We're here to help you guys win your league today. I know some of you are probably on the bubble trying to make the playoffs, if not already in the playoffs, or probably if you're still watching, you're most likely playing for the playoff spot. So, with that being said, I want to give Sean and Mike some time to give their introduction. So, Sean, let's thanks for joining.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Just trying to get over the Thanksgiving hangover, the overindulgence of all the fantastic food this week. And yeah, so my teams are popping off right now with all these high scoring games we've already had. Too bad those are all my eliminated teams. So it's good to see them finally perform. Hoping to crush it in the toilet bowl. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Mike, how are your fantasy teams doing now that we have 4 games played already?
Yeah, I have so many lineups, as we all do, that I don't even focus on too many of them. But the one I do focus on is my Scott Fishbowl lineup. Currently in the playoffs, but this was I don't feel great. I don't feel great going on right now. I had Montgomery, I had Brian Robinson. Both did exactly more or less what you would want, but nothing more. Tyler Lockett underwhelmed. Jaden Reed popped off. We love Jaden Reed. Terry McLaurin didn't do too much. So and more importantly, I made the controversial decision to bench Jared Goff for Baker Mayfield. And Goff's final touchdown at the end of that game kind of made that a moot. We kind of made that a bad decision, probably. So we'll see.
I mean, at the beginning of the game, you're like, "That's a great decision." Like, I just made the smartest fantasy football.
That was also the point where I realized that Scott Fishbowl doesn't do negative points this year. I forgot about that. So all those fumbles, any turnovers, they don't matter. They don't hurt Jared Goff. So yeah, it's a little bit bittersweet, but we'll see how Baker does today. We believe in the touchdown maker.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I witnessed it for 4 or 5 years here in Cleveland.
And you let him go.
Trust me, not too happy about it, especially with the situation now that Deshaun's out for the year. But it is what it is. We still got 4 more years to see what he can do. We're stuck with him, essentially. But with that being said, I do want to let you guys know, if you go over to IDP Guys and enter Sacksgiving in our promo area, you will get 30% off a year-long subscription. You'll have all the access to all of our tools. You'll have access to our analyst. You'll have access to our Discord, which is awesome because if you have any last-minute questions or any questions throughout the entire year, you have access to guys like Michael Sicoli and Sean right here. So it is a great thing to have. So I'll add that to the comments here. And then also, before we get started, I just want to let you guys know, if you guys are looking for instant questions to be answered, we have super chats now. So you can pay to have a super chat and we'll instantly answer those for you. We'll instantly bump you up to the front of the line for the questions. So with that being said, we have a few questions already. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving and a lot of food. I'll only make it the first 20 minutes. I have to ask in advance. So perfect. With Brian Burns not performing right now, who would you play at your defensive line spot? Simmons, Autry, Hubbard, or Vita Vea? Additional, what is your rest of the season outlook for these guys? Michael, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah. First off, always good to see a fantasy breakout in here every single week. Love to see it. Yeah, it's difficult. I don't mind trusting Brian Burns to figure it out, but it's betting on talent to beat out expectations as well as situation. So if I'm looking at the rest of those guys there between Jeff Simmons, Autry, both those guys are going to be matchup dependent. We picked good matchups for them. Last week I was on Simmons and kind of got bailed out by that touchdown, but we'll take it. We'll take it. This week I like Vita Vea. I like Vita Vea quite a lot against the Colts this week. Playing him in most situations. He's been on a roll the last 3 weeks, and I'm willing to rock that. But with defensive line this year, I've been approaching it very much as a streaming, playing off matchups, seeing if offensive tackles are out, tuning into shows like this to see if those tackles are out, and chasing those subsequent matchups. Sam Hubbard's not a bad play either against that Steelers line, so I am curious what Sean thinks here.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Vita Vea has been pretty good this year when he has played. He's missed a few games. Simmons, I mean, he's still right there in the top with the defensive tackles there. Also, he gets hot, so he rides these hot streaks, and they got a really bad Carolina team coming in. Yeah, I think I like Vita Vea the most, but I don't hate Simmons in this
I
one
don't
either.
hate any of these guys.
Now, for the
this
rest of the season, are you guys sticking with those same guys?
I think Hubbard's got your highest floor for the season just because of his tackle ability and the occasional sack. But he's more of a tackle guy, so if you're getting plenty of points for tackles, I think he's your best floor. Where the other guys are probably more ceiling, all three of them.
That's where I would lean as well. I was just checking their schedules rest of the way. I mean, Hubbard has a few good matchups coming up against Jacksonville and Indianapolis, and a couple tough ones after that, but don't mind it at all. Hubbard would probably be my answer rest of season. No problem if you went with Vita Vea. But this week I would go Vita Vea. Although, again, Sam Hubbard against the Steelers offensive line is certainly a good matchup as well.
And Cincinnati's offense might not be able to stay on the field very long, so
Yes.
that just gives that much more of a chance for Hubbard to score. So, second question from Fantasy Breakout. Pick one DB, Derwin James, Duggar, or Byard.
The day I don't choose Derwin James is a scary day, especially when we're talking about guys like Kyle Duggar, who's, I'm not taking Kyle Duggar against the Giants. I just don't trust the passing attack to reach the secondary, although certainly a good candidate for an interception this week because it's Tommy DeVito. But yeah, I'll lean with Derwin James here. I'll trust him to do what he's been doing his entire career, although Byard has certainly been an IDP star since arriving in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so I took Byard last week against Kansas City because even though the matchup wasn't great, I just felt like it was a big-time game, and he's a big-time star, and I felt he would pop off, and he did. He did really well. I'm going to take it again with this Buffalo offense, trying to pop off. I think this is going to be another big game just like last week, and I'm riding Byard's hot hand right now. I'm just – James just
I don't hate it.
Pulling it up for me. Yeah.
I mean, I saw on DraftKings his tackle line right now is around 7.5. It's awfully high for
Byard.
Yeah, for Byard, it's up at 7.5, which is it's the same as Reed Blankenship, and that's one we've loved all year for fantasy.
Right.
I love Derwin this week against the Ravens just because I think he's basically going to be a linebacker the entire game.
Yeah, that's fair.
And for those of you asking questions, let us know what your situation is because this week's a little bit different. We've had 4 games already played. We want to know what the scoring situation is. Are you down? Are you looking for a high ceiling? What do you need? Also, don't forget to let us know if it's a tackle heavy IDP league versus sack heavy IDP league. Let us know these little scoring settings so that way we can better help you. So last one from Fantasy Breakout. Half PPR, pick one. It's Marquise Brown if he's playing. If he's not playing, it's going to be Rondell Moore, Khalil Herbert, or Madison. Sean, what do you think?
Oh boy. I might lean Madison as the safest one here. I can't trust Herbert. I know Foreman's probably not going to play. But with Justin Fields back, he still eats up a lot of that rushing attack. I'm not ready to trust Herbert yet. I know Madison's been kind of banged up. He kind of popped off a little bit last week. Marquise Brown, though. I don't hate that matchup. But if he's not in there, Rondell Moore is kind of a boomer bust. Like he gets you a big play and just disappears. So I find him a little harder to trust as well. Man. So I guess I'm really down to Madison or Brown. I think I'm taking Madison. That's who I want this week.
And
That's
I'll
who I
make
trust.
it I'll make it interesting and both interesting and difficult because I'm going to fairly confidently take Khalil Herbert here. With no Dante Foreman, that really does make quite a difference for me. And while yes, obviously Justin Fields does eat into that rushing load, he also keeps the offense moving, and that is a significant change compared to Tyson Bagent and just everything in general. We saw the Bears put up points last week, and we saw Khalil Herbert dominate carries. And while he didn't do much with it, it's half PPR. I haven't seen it from any of the Cardinals receivers that I can trust yet since Kyler's been back. He's really spread the ball around, which we have a long history of seeing him do. And half PPR does negate the receivers just a little bit more. So I'll go with the guy I think is going to get the most touches, and that's Khalil Herbert.
Now, here's a question for you: if you had to go to the waiver wire because you're not comfortable with any of these guys that he listed, are you looking at Odell Beckham? Are you looking at A.T. Perry? Since he's going to be filling into the slot position in New Orleans.
True followers of @Michael__Sicoli know that I do have a spot in my heart for A.T. Perry. I'm not playing him this week, not a chance. But I do hope he works out. Wouldn't mind stashing him, and I have him in plenty of dynasty leagues. But Odell's the interesting name there because we all expect him to see a sizable increase in targets with Mark Andrews out. I don't think any of us expect Isaiah Likely to do everything that Mark Andrews did. And it's a great matchup against the Chargers secondary that can't defend a fly. So wouldn't mind that. I would rather play him than Marquise Brown. It would be tough between him and Khalil Herbert. I wouldn't mind going Odell over all three of those options. That's a good point you bring up. He's only rostered in 48% of Yahoo leagues.
How about you, Sean? Would you maybe try to find somebody else on waivers, or would you go with a guy like Odell Beckham over any of the guys that Fantasy Breakout listed here?
I don't think I would take Beckham over any of those guys. I like Beckham. It's just his injuries this year for the last couple of years. It feels like he's always injured, and I can't trust him to play the entire game. The matchup is good, but I'm just not that confident in Beckham. I can't really pinpoint it other than the injuries. And I like the stability that Herbert and Madison could bring as far as being dual threat. And again, with it being half PPR, it does kind of diminish Beckham a little bit.
This is definitely one of those questions that you made a great point before, Grant, about your situation. If you are currently down right now in your league, I'm playing Odell. He has a much higher ceiling to me than any of those other guys. But if I'm carrying a lead, I want the assured touches, and we know Odell could goose egg us. That's happened already this season. But if I just need touches, I'm going to take Khalil Herbert. So it's certainly a little bit dependent on what your situation is. But in a vacuum, I'll go with Odell if that is an option. Otherwise, Khalil Herbert.
And it seems like Odell's not getting since Mark Andrews has one out last week. Even with Mark Andrews, Odell hasn't been getting the targets, but he has been getting in the end zone. So is that something that you're taking into account? Because we've seen what Likely has done, and he's not very likely to carry the production of Mark Andrews.
I hate how proud of you are of that. You love that. That smirk came on your face as soon as you thought of it, before you even said it. But yeah, listen, it's the Chargers secondary. That's really what I'm chasing here. The Chargers allow everything they want to the receivers, despite what Brandon Staley says. So, yeah, I mean, it's also the fact that those targets are valuable. He catches them downfield. The average is, I don't have it right in front of me, but I got to imagine it's at least 14, 15 yards per reception because it's valuable touches. And in half PPR, that gets a little bit of a boost because we want the receptions to matter.
Awesome. All right, going over here to Foxworth. This is setting up her question. She's a full PPR league, needs the playoff push here. So, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, Pop Douglas, or Rashid Shaheed.
Is that Demario Douglas's nickname? I have missed that. I like it, but I missed that. Huh.
Yeah, that's news to me. I haven't heard that one.
Well, maybe Brittany could be branding right here. She's very good at that, so it's very possible. But do you have any thoughts on this, Sean? Because I got to think this one through.
All right. Yeah, sure. I'll take the heat. Give me Christian Kirk because despite Calvin Ridley's big game, which has been maybe twice this year, Christian Kirk is still the top guy there, and he's a PPR hog. He gets a lot of passes. He's usually good for 5, 6 a game. He's more consistent than any of these other guys. I like Shaheed, but I just don't. He's such a gadget player. He's probably got the highest ceiling if he pops off, but it's a little hard to predict. So I like Kirk here.
I'll go with Kirk as well, just because I can't imagine that Jaguars Houston game isn't high scoring, and that's got to be the highest over under of this group. And my number 2 option would be the one with the lowest over under, probably. If it's not Denver and Cleveland, it would be the Giants and Patriots, because Demario Douglas has been fantastic the last month. And has established a really good floor with like 7 or more targets in pretty much every game for the last month. So I'll still go with Christian Kirk. Demario Douglas is certainly in consideration for me.
Well, guys, I can say I've been chasing. I have both Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley on one roster, and I keep chasing those points every week. But I think I'm going to stick with Christian Kirk, so that means Calvin Ridley is going to go off again. That's how that
We were
works.
talking about that last week.
Yeah.
Last week on the show, we said Calvin Ridley was going to break out because all of us wanted nothing, especially me. I wanted nothing to do with him, which means he went off for 2 touchdowns.
I can never guess what right between the two, and it's frustrating.
It really is.
No, but this Jerry Jeudy option is going to be interesting because the Browns are out Denzel Ward. And it's probably going to be Emerson, but he's probably going to be on Cortland Sutton. So Jerry Jeudy will probably see Newsome.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And I don't know if I like that. And it depends on how fast this Cleveland Browns defensive line gets to Russell Wilson and if they can keep him contained and in the pocket. Otherwise, we see most of those targets going to Cortland Sutton once he escapes that pocket.
14-10 Broncos. That's going to be the score of that game, and I want as little to do with fantasy as I can outside the linebackers for both teams.
Because now we're looking at the possibility of even the IDPs not getting a lot of opportunities just because of how bad the offenses are on both.
Yeah.
So
Alex Singleton's going to hog 20,000 tackles in this game.
Stephen Smith, I think I might be putting in Brooks or Devin Lloyd going forward over Quincy Williams. I think that knee injury is getting to him. My linebackers are Wagner, Logan Wilson, Quincy, Devin Lloyd, and Jordan Brooks. Do you agree with this, Sean?
Yeah, what a terrible set of linebackers you got there. Yeah, if he is, going to struggle here for a while, and you do have those great options, Devin Lloyd has been on fire. His ceiling is limited, but his floor is fantastic. Jordan Brooks, Bobby Wagner, play into the Seahawks, that scoring, system there. That's those guys are gold. Yeah, you can bench Quincy if you have those type of options for sure.
He started Wagner, Wilson, and Quincy this week.
And obviously Quincy didn't perform too well against Miami, which was always a tougher matchup as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll piggyback on Sean and agree and just say you could stream these guys based off matchups, look at plays per game, tune into this show, we'll do it for you. But like Logan Wilson has played, him and Bobby Okereke are the only 2 linebackers that have played every single snap this season. So yeah, you're fine. You got plenty of good guys there. And Jordan Brooks has performed mostly, and I talked about Devin Lloyd plenty of times in the show about how well he's done this year. So yeah, you can certainly rotate them out.
Pick 2, Buda Baker, McKinney, Hobbs, or Blackman. Mike, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, Hobbs is the auto start for me here. That's a lock. And we had a interesting talk on the IDP Plus pod this week with Buda Baker and his usage, because I've taken his under this week, actually. I believe it's 6.5. I don't love how they've been using him. And it's Jalen Thompson that's been getting the slot and box snaps. It's not Buda Baker. Buda Baker's playing much deeper center field. to quote our amazing Steve Thomason. But it's not someone I want right now, and I'm not playing Buda Baker right now. So I'll go Hobbs, and I'll probably go Blackman would be my number 2. It's a lot closer for the number 2 spot. I wouldn't mind McKinney and betting on an interception by Mac Jones or something like that. But Nate Hobbs for sure. I'll go Julian Blackman.
Sean, are you in agreement?
I think I'm going to pass on Blackman this week.
That's fair. I don't feel great about that option.
Yeah, Hobbs is fine. I just wonder with Kaiser White being out, if Buda will get a few more extra tackles, a few more extra chances now. But like Michael said, it's Jalen Thompson that's getting all that, up close work. So let me go with Hobbs and McKinney.
I'm going to pivot to that as well. I was hoping you wouldn't say it, so it wouldn't sound like I'm copying you. But yeah, I'll switch off Blackman and go with Xavier McKinney as well. And yeah, I honestly didn't realize how strong he's done in difficult matchups the last month. We got over 9 9 or more tackles in each of the last 3 games, and now we have an amazing matchup against the Patriots coming up. So yeah, I'll go McKinney and Hobbs as well.
All right, we got a question from Ruguru. What are we going to be doing with Godwin? He's been very underwhelming as of late.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I don't. It's from the Yahoo card because I'm not going to take credit for the stat here, but he hasn't topped 55 yards in any of the last 4 games. So yeah, it's been tough, and we've had good matchups as well. We're talking Tennessee, San Fran, even Houston to an extent, all decent matchups. So yeah, it's tough because I believe in Baker this week. As I started at the top of the show, I think they're going to have a good day on the passing attack. And I think Indianapolis secondary is still beatable, although it's been a lot better the last couple of months than it was when it started the year. So it's difficult. It always depends on the other option. If you throw another name, Ruguru, because I'd love to know what you're comparing it to, because that's always the question, right? If we're comparing it to Rondale Moore, I'll still go with Chris Godwin. But if we're comparing it to even Odell, I might go with Odell this week. So it always depends on those other options.
Sean, do you agree here?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the matchup looks great again on paper, and that's what Michael just said. The matchups have been good, but it's Mike Evans eating up the targets. It's all the checkdowns to Rachaad White, or Cade Otton's kind of picking up a bit. Yeah. So, who's Indianapolis' best corner here? It's Kenny Moore, right?
Yep.
Is he not? He's probably going to be on Godwin. So, yeah, if you got a better option, I would pivot for sure.
Lunch Table Legend. He needs us to pick 2 of these 3: Derwin, Singleton, or Okereke.
Is that how you say? Is it Okereke or is it Okereke? Because
I've heard it like 5 different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bobby O.
Yeah. Let's just go Bobby O.
Yeah. It's definitely Singleton for me as one of these 2 because I will always play a linebacker against the Browns, and Alex Singleton. I don't know everyone's tackle line here. I know his tackle line is like 11.5 this week, and I was tempted to take the over because it's going to be ridiculous. But
I think the Browns will be running the ball down Denver's throats.
Do ya?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you have a choice. I think that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah. And Denver's run defense is terrible. So
yes. Yeah, that's the weak spot for sure. So yeah, definitely Singleton for me. It's tougher between the other 2 because Derwin has a better matchup in my opinion. Bobby O, I just mentioned before how many snaps he's playing this year, and I do think Ramondre Stevenson's going to get a decent amount of touches in this game. So it's tougher. I'll go with Derwin because I think I'll chase the big play here. And especially when I have a huge floor in Alex Singleton as well. So I'll go Derwin and Singleton. No problem if you go Okereke as well or Bobby O.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to take the 2 linebackers here. Singleton is your sure shot fire here, and Mr. B.O. is the other guy I want because he has been great. Maybe he's making plays, turnovers. He's all over the field. And I just trust linebackers more than safeties right now.
Yeah. Where are we at here? Evinci, start Dotson, Al Shahir, or Ellis this week.
Oh, all three have been disappointing after strong starts, honestly. Or I don't know if quite call Tyrell Dodson that, but yeah, it's interesting. Oh man, it's a shame seeing Aziz Al-Shahir in this conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, I just don't know if I can trust him right now. I want to pick him, but he's just been so cold. Do you have any immediate thoughts? Because I'm still pondering over here.
I'm leaning Ellis, I think.
I love Caden Ellis. I do.
Just
Revenge game too.
Your revenge game. There you go. Yeah, so I think that's the play here. Al-Shahir, I mean, he's getting a lot of assisted tackles, which hurt us in the fantasy world because we need those solo tackles to really pop those points. Just the Titans are doing some really weird stuff right now with rotations. So Monty Rice, Jack Gibbons, they're rotating around, and then they had the blowout. So Al-Shahir was taken off the field early last week as well. Dotson, just when the matchups are there, he's just not hitting it. I want to play Ellis revenge game. Yeah, I think this is the week for Ellis.
We just love that revenge narrative.
It's fun. It's a fun. Like, let's be honest here. It's fun, but I'll agree with you there. I'll go Caden Ellis as well. He's been putting up 8+ tackles in each of the last 3 weeks. Had his bye week, so it should be 100% fresh. And the Saints are, aside from a revenge matchup, it's a better matchup than the Carolina Panthers are, just because the amount of snaps that the Saints take more snaps on offense than the Panthers do, and there's no secret about that. So I'll go Caden Ellis as well. We have a higher chance of him grabbing a sack too. We've seen plenty of that both in New Orleans and in Atlanta.
So this next question, I feel so bad because we all know what happened in the Miami New York Jets game. 99-yard INT back to the house.
So loud.
And lunch table dropped them the last minute. So he needs a good upside defensive pick. His faves are Bengals versus Steelers, Titans versus Panthers, Colts versus Bucks, Giants versus Pats. Are there any others if you don't like this?
Man.
I think those first two are probably your best shots this week.
Titans stand out to me.
I was kind of leaning that way as well with the Bengals second.
Yeah, listen, I don't expect the Steelers to put it all together with Matt Canada gone. I don't expect this to be a fire the coordinator and it's going to be a blow-up game type of situation. Their problems run much deeper than that. And Mike Sullivan is calling plays now. He did not do very well at that in New York when he did it either. So we'll see. He's kind of just chosen because he's the only one on the staff who has experience doing so. So I'll go with the Titans. I don't mind going with the Bengals because of all the reasons I just laid out, but they don't have help on the offensive side of the ball, and I think the Titans at least will have some.
Sean, you agree with that because you mentioned the Titans, correct?
Yeah, that's the Panthers' offense is terrible. I feel like they'll get several sacks this week and plenty of turnover opportunities here. I don't know who would get them, maybe McCreary, but yeah, so here's my question. If it's, defensive teams like this, does Jeffrey Simmons touchdowns count for that, or is that non-existent?
Yes. It would count as a team defense. It would count as 6 points. You don't get the reception or anything, but you do get the touchdown.
So you still get the team defensive points for that? I love that because he's been lining up at fullback several times now. So, I mean, that's a possibility there too.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So that means that every other defense is going to score a defensive touchdown. This one, Kenny Moore is going to have 7,000 pick sixes as we all go with the Titans. Yeah.
Will said he's coming here to vent.
Oh,
because the panel advised him to switch.
Yes, this was me. This was me. This was on me. And I knew how big this was. I knew how big this was to you, Will. And I promise you, I was thinking about you the entire game. I was thinking about the entire week.
until the Lions hit that final, they didn't win till right at the end of the game. It looked like it was a lose-lose up until
Yep.
that point.
And that's
So-
why I didn't feel as bad. And then
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
right.
I was like, oh, I'm the worst.
Because we were
Oh,
nervous
Lord.
of that game. We were nervous of the Lions against the Bears. And that,
And listen, Will Power, it was someone who's here every single week. He's a constant follower of the show. I hate to do my man dirty like that.
we dropped the ball, Will.
Yeah, all I can hope is we're gonna get it right the next time around. You're a top man, and I feel like I let you down.
So Lunch Table's back, and he said also start one defensive special teams in the Colts, Giants, and Jags game.
Oh boy, team defense questions. What a wonderful week 12 we're in.
I can't start any defense in that Jags-Texans game. That's going to be a shootout.
No, I'm not touching that. But it's between Colts and Giants for me. We've seen both these teams turn it over.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll go with the.
I'm not jumping in there
I'm
just
playing
yet.
Baker. I believe in Baker this week. I've put my SFB hopes in. I've put my Scott Fishbowl hopes in him. So I'm going to go
The
with
Giants
the Giants. defense.
Patriots game is just not.
Has the
I don't know.
lowest over under of any of these
Yeah.
games. That's kind of my sole reasoning here. Is
But it's not
no
exciting.
Dexter Lawrence though. There is no Dexter Lawrence this week. That is a big hit to that Giants
Right.
defense. Oh man, this is ugly.
I think I'm going to leave the Colts here.
Yeah, I
Just
think I will as
because-
well. And just hope Kenny Moore bails me out.
Kenny Moore and probably DeForest Buckner to get a sack or two. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge difference between these, but I do think the Colts give you more turnover and sacks here than any other team.
I'm not moving on to SFB, am I? You're throwing 7 picks today. It's going to be embarrassing.
And Vinci, start Dax Hill or Battle or Gilman. Which of these three are the best option going forward for the rest of the season?
Sean, do you want to go or me?
Man, Dax Hill's so up and down here lately. If Battle is fully taken over, I will start Battle out of these three. I think rest of season, because I do think he's not going to be the main coverage guy here. Probably not playing deep. I think he'll be playing up towards the line, and Gilman will be back because it's James's show there. Like I say, Hill he's pretty up and down for me. So I like what Battle showed last week, and I think he's the guy I want rest of the season, and probably this week.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me it's between. I mean, they're all solid options. I'd love the take with Jordan Battle because he took over last week, and Nick Scott has been very underwhelming this year. So I think that could be there to stick. I do want to think about Gilman here, just because that Charger secondary, he can play deep, but the Charger secondary keeps on getting beat deep every single week. And
Right.
because of that, we've seen him get, 7 tackles, and most of which are always solo because he's a defensive back playing deep role. So it's interesting like that. It's the tough thing about it is that he's facing Baltimore, New England, Denver, Vegas in the next 5 weeks there. What do all those 4 weeks? What do all those teams have in common? They don't really throw deep too much. I mean, Baltimore does to an extent, but then
Well, that
so
could be changed.
I can understand the concerns there. So I'll go Jordan Battle if I want to take on that risk of potentially he
Right.
could lose the role or just all of a sudden go back to a reserve role. But Gilman would honestly be my second option here. As good as Dax Hill has been, it has been very up and down, and I have the same concerns with him as I do with a lot of safeties like him, deep safeties.
So Lunch Table is back. Full PPR. He needs to start 4. Jamar Chase, Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Ramondre Stevenson, and Chris Olave are his options.
Oh boy, I like this. I like this question. No need to say I'm sorry because this is an interesting one because we have so many different elements in this. We have somebody with a backup quarterback. We have someone with Mark Andrews out. You got Calvin Ridley who finally showed us something. DJ Moore reunited with Justin Fields, Ramondre Stevenson against a Giants defense without Dexter Lawrence, and Chris Olave is Chris Olave with no Michael Thomas. So this is fascinating. So fascinating that I think Sean should go as I think it over.
I got you. I'm taking the middle four. Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, and Ramondre Stevenson. That
Benching
Stevenson
Chase.
matchup is fantastic. DJ Moore is a different monster with Justin Fields. Grant said he was starting Christian Kirk, so we know Calvin Ridley's going off. And I think Zay Flowers becomes the new Mark Andrews in this offense.
Yeah, I can't bench Jamar.
Yeah, even with the
Not yet.
I could see him being a mid wide receiver 2 without Burrow, but I don't know if I could sit him.
I'm still gonna play him partially, not only because of what he could still be, but also I have no faith in the Steelers secondary still. That secondary is still bad. So I'll go with Jamar reluctantly. I'll go with Zay in full PPR. DJ Moore is a must for me, and I do think Ramondre Stevenson eats up that Giants defensive line without Dexter Lawrence. So I'm benching Ridley after the big week, which means he's going off. And I love Chris Olave, but it's the entire Saints team is so unexciting. The entire Saints team is so underwhelming with Derek Carr. So I don't mind it. They're all solid options, but that's the way I would lean this week.
But that bad Saints team could still win their division.
I have them winning the division. I think they'll win the division, but it's such a bad division.
It's crazy to think about that you could be 500 or below 500 and still win that division.
And get a home matchup.
NFL needs to change their playoff format. Andrew, you start Hubbard or risk Max Crosby. His free agent options are Baron Browning, Jennings, and it's a sack advantage league.
Hubbard. I don't think Crosby's playing. Last I saw, he was doubtful, if not out. Also, we just got in. Rachaad White is officially active. He was a late addition to the injury report yesterday, or 2 days ago, maybe. But yeah, I'll go Hubbard. We talked about before we like him just straight up in general to play him. I don't think Max Crosby plays, so I'll go Hubbard.
So Ian Rappaport just announced like a minute, 2 minutes ago that even though Crosby was doubtful, he is expected to play today.
Oh, that's so fun for a 4:00 kickoff time, isn't it?
Yeah, right. So
that's funny.
Besides that, I think I'm still going to lead Hubbard.
But with that doubtful tag, do you think he plays an entire game, or he's up to the Max Crosby we know? I don't believe it.
Also, according to Ian Rappaport, the last time a player has played through a doubtful tag was 2020. So, and even then, yeah, like you just said, I don't know what role Crosby's going to have. And Crosby at half, I'll still play Crosby at half health, but you have a solid alternative in Sam Hubbard. That's the thing here is we're not chasing between a random defensive tackle or a defensive end who we're hoping gets a sack. Sam Hubbard's a good player and has a good matchup on tap. So that's where I lean.
Will said he lied. He does have a question about, and he wants to know our thoughts on Kyron Williams this week. He could activate and play him in many leagues, but do you think he's more of a floor rather than a boom play?
I like Williams. I think he comes in and takes over and takes a lot of the pressure off Matthew Stafford. And I think he will be big this week.
I'm with you on that. And I think we saw that. What we always like to see in fantasy is when actions match words, right? And we've seen not only the action of giving Kyron Williams the workload, but we also seldom release Darrell Henderson. He did fine for them, but his time's over. He's done. They let him go. It was as cold-cut business decision as it came, and that's because Kyron Williams is back.
They did put him back on the practice squad.
Oh, did they? Okay,
yeah.
So not as cold, but
but he's still not the backup.
Yeah, I don't really know why he's not a backup somewhere, but Either way, yeah, I don't know if he's just a 4 play as well. I'd argue might be more of a boom play, just because what he's done this year is not. I don't think he's a good player. I don't think you can count on him to get 15 for 80, but I think you can count on him to potentially get 3 touchdowns. That's how he's made his hay. So
Yeah.
that's more ceiling to me than floor.
So this next question isn't really relevant anymore since we just heard Rachaad White is playing. But it's still an interesting topic with Warren and Bijan. Warren's got has a nice matchup, but with the new OC, and Bijan has a bad matchup. What are our thoughts?
I like Warren this week. I'll play Warren in general. White's been terrific the last month. I got to give him his credit. He's been terrific. And I do expect Bijan to still be good more weeks than not, although there's a tough matchup against the Saints. But I love Jaylen Warren this week. I do. The new coordinator, or the new coordinator is the running back coach. We saw Jaylen Warren take over last week. And I said last week that I thought this was the takeover week. And he made the difference. He's clearly the guy, and he's clearly the best option for them. So,
hey, Mike, earlier in the season, didn't you just say that there will be no takeover?
Wrong. I already admitted my wrongdoing on Twitter.
Different Mike.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, I came out and said that I was very wrong about my most viral tweet of like the year, saying that Jaylen Warren will not take over. And well, he hasn't technically. They're still splitting. Yeah, I was wrong on that. And Jaylen Warren has a lot more juice than I gave him credit for, and he is terrific. And I like him against Cincinnati this week.
You can eat your Raven and have it, and still have your dignity.
I don't have any dignity as a Steelers fan. It's all terrible anyway. This is the only dignity I have right here is TJ Watt, and that's it. And he broke up a fight this week. So, yeah,
you guys are acting like you've been losing for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
we
don't
have
talk to Grant about that.
in the playoffs. We haven't won a playoff game since like 2015, and I know that's nothing to you, but for a team that's always there, it's really frustrating.
Hey, I'm just saying, your coach has never been under 500, and we can't ever say that.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Sean, what are your thoughts on this with Warren and Bijan?
I like Warren too. Bijan's last on this list for me. I mean, White's got a great matchup though, and he gets all those catches. So,
yeah, no issues with Rachaad White either.
Yeah, might take White. I think so, just because I do think he gets that bigger target share. He gets pretty much all the runs. So, and Warren is still kind of splitting with Harris a bit, but he's probably more likely to pop off a huge gain. So, I mean, PPR, definitely White, I think is the way I'm moving here.
Would you start Battle over Buddha?
I would. Fight me.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to be the other side of this before.
Yeah, no, my hands hurt. I ain't fighting nobody. No, I think there is some concern that Battle doesn't get a full start, full 100% of the tackles or snaps, which I get. But like we seen last week with Jalen Thompson back, it changes Buddha's role into that deep guy. And if it's going to be Williams running all day, it's probably going to be Thompson's day for the tackles. So, yeah, I would take the risk and go with Battle here.
Steven is asking Flowers or Pop Douglas?
Flowers for me. As much as I like Douglas this week, they're both going to be great in my opinion this week. But I have to play Zay Flowers with no Mark Andrews against the Chargers. I couldn't live with myself if I benched him against them.
Yeah, I'm with you because I think this is the Stevenson show today against the Giants with no Dexter Lawrence there. Yeah, I think they will need Flowers more than the Patriots will need Douglas, and I think he gets more targets, more catches. So Flowers for me.
So Rougarou is letting us know currently his wide receivers Tank, Pittman, and DJ Moore, and his flex is Godwin, Khalil Herbert, and Quentin and
Ooh.
Quentin Johnson and Spears. So let's go back to that question up top here that he was asking, if I can find it.
I also noticed that you skipped over Will Powers' comment that I was right about Bobby O's pronunciation.
I was going to get to that later.
I just want to make sure since you felt like bringing a tweet
We're just
earlier.
gonna stick with Bobby
You're
O.
the man, Will. You're the man.
Love Will here.
His question was about Godwin, and what are we going to do with him since he's been very underwhelming the last few weeks?
Well, then I'll say if I have to order these guys, I mean I'll easily play the 3 wide receivers over Godwin, and I'll play Khalil Herbert over Godwin, and then I'll still play Godwin over QJ or Ty J as well.
You in the same boat there, Sean?
I think so. Quentin's last on this list for me.
Oh yeah.
Sucks. Spears, he gets a bigger role. Dude's explosive when he's on the field. There's a big difference with him running, but I think it's a retro Derrick Henry week this week. Khalil Herbert would be a fine start over Godwin. This week.
I'm hoping for a retro King Henry week this week for Scott Fishbowl purposes.
Carries.
Will pulled off a trade at the deadline in his PPR Dynasty League, and he got JJ and Jordan Love for Kyler Murray, James Cook, and Rondell Moore.
What? Is this Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
It's got to be
That's
JJ.
fantastic.
This has to be super. It doesn't even matter if it's super flex to me, to be honest. But yeah, no, that's ridiculous. So well done. We knew we liked you for a reason, and you swindled, buddy. Well done.
Yeah, maybe you need to be on the show.
Yeah.
Dax Hill over Hobbs and Blankenship. My other DB is Bynum.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Nate Hobbs is an auto start for me, and Reed Blankenship's also an auto start for me. So the real question is Bynum versus Dax Hill, because we've seen some down weeks from Bynum. But I'm not very excited about Hill against the Steelers team that can't pass past the line of scrimmage. So I'll go with I'll bench Hill of this bunch.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah, how many are we picking here? Just 1, 2?
Yeah, I think it's 1.
Yeah, Dax Hill's a no. He's probably the last on this list for sure. I'm not ready to bench Bynum just yet. And Hobbs is fire as a cornerback, so
he's awesome. He's so much fun.
Richard Malone, opinions on playing Dennis today.
Is that Gardeck? Is that Dennis Gardeck? It's the only Dennis I could think of, honestly. Assuming it is, I'll say I'm not that excited. I know we were hoping for a bigger role here, but I think it's going to be Josh Woods that sees the biggest jump in Arizona. And behind him, I'm blanking on the other guy, but
Chris Barnes.
Yeah, Chris Barnes, I think, would be the other person. It's between those two who's going to fill in, not Gardeck, who kind of takes most of the snaps on the edge at times. So not that excited against a Rams team that hasn't given up a ton of points to defensive ends this year.
And it's been Ojulari who's the one that's been on fire there.
Yeah.
Andrew, James Cook or James Conner?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because James Conner would know my answer, but he is underwhelmed with Kyler and has not seen a lot of passing volume, which is surprising. But James Cook against Philadelphia is also not very appealing. So,
I like James Conner here. Neither one are exciting, but I do think James Conner is the one that'll get more touches in this, which is more opportunities to do something with them. Yeah, that Eagles line. Yeah, I'm not taking Cook in that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll go James Conner. And, the efficiency hasn't been bad for either of these guys, but it's good to see it James Conner after an injury, a little bit older, that the efficiency hasn't dipped. So we're just really hoping he gets a touchdown because that's all that's been missing the last few weeks. And obviously the receiving work, but if he gets one of those two things, he'll be a very good fantasy play.
So Richard was dropped in the comments. It's the linebacker from Tampa.
Oh, yeah, for
Servas. I'm not even sure.
Slovakia.
Yeah.
Oh, I honestly,
that's
I
right.
totally forgot. I know him by his first name because it's such a unique first name. That makes more sense. Can we go back to that, or just opinions on him?
Yeah, it was just opinions on playing Slovakia Dennis today, which is actually going to lead into this next question.
Yeah,
but go ahead. What are your opinions on playing Dent?
I would start him. Yes. Unless you just have a great option to throw in there, but if you're to the point where you need him, Vontae David is out. The Colts are going to run a lot, I would think. So, yeah, if you don't have any other options, go for it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And as always, it'll like Sean was just saying, it comes down to who else you could play. But without knowing that, yeah, you could certainly play him because I do expect him to see the biggest jump. And what Sean says is correct. I think we're going to see a lot of carries by the Colts still. So although I think Michael Pittman is also going to light everybody up.
So the next question is Slovakia or Josh Allen, and Andrew gets points for, or he does not get points for QB hits or pressures.
Man, I want to play Josh Allen, but I know it's just tough against Houston. So I'll go Slovakia. I think it's just, ironically, as scary as it might be to play someone who's not normally a starter, he's a lot safer than Josh Allen this week.
Yeah, Josh Allen could goose egg us, or he could pop off 3 sacks. And Houston isn't really giving up 3 sacks like that.
Stroud's pocket management has been next to
fantastic.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah. Take the full-time linebacker and not the edge rusher, especially if you're not getting quarterback hits.
So Steven is saying the QB coach is the play caller for the Steelers now, not the RB's coach.
Oh, yeah. No, I know that about the play caller, but the coordinator, I believe, I'll triple check that, but I believe the offensive coordinator, who still has the overall thought process of the offense, was the running back coach. I'll triple check that for you. Just to.
If it's the way that Steven's saying, does that change your guys' opinion on Warren? Or do you still believe Warren's going to be the guy?
Oh, yeah. He's still a good play this week, for sure.
Yes, he was. I'm Faulkner is the new offensive coordinator, and he was the running back coach. So it's not the play caller, but he does have quite the big say in the offense, obviously. So doesn't change my answer too much because I said Warren before. No issues if you play Rachaad White though.
If Will activates Kyron, he'll have to drop one of these guys, and it would be Ford, Flowers, Smith, Kincaid, or Dobbs, and he needs Dobbs for next week's bye for Lamar, or Noah Brown. He also has Jay Jetta on IR.
Noah Brown. I'm sorry, buddy. It's been a fun ride. It's been awesome to see. But you're out this week, and we're going to take you to the curb here.
Yeah, because this should be a big week for Williams. Like we're expecting it's a great matchup.
By the way, he's just someone I want on hand.
Yeah. Will says he has a doozy here for us. Kyler Murray over Patrick Mahomes this week. Question is, will the Chiefs wide receivers catch the ball?
No, but Travis Kelce will. The eternal question, the weekly question right there of will they catch the ball now? But will it matter? Probably not. Yeah, I mean, I'm still playing Patrick Mahomes in almost all situations. That's just kind of where I'm at with Patrick Mahomes. As good as Kyler Murray has been, um, I still trust him to get it done against Vegas. I know they've been a better defense since Antonio Pierce took over. But if Max Crosby is out or limited, that's going to be a sizable hit that they have not had to deal with yet. There's no one else that can generate pressure on that team. So I'll play Patrick Mahomes with some confidence. And also a must-win statement game for the Chiefs. They cannot drop this one. So
We got a couple more questions here, and Will is saying he is going to play Kyler if you can believe it.
Sean, can you believe it?
I understand why he's doing it, but yeah, with no Max Crosby is the catalyst to that defense. So without him or him being banged up, it's Travis Kelce today. Kelsey's going to light it up. MVS is going to get a little bit of redemption this week. It's Patrick Mahomes.
We better bring Nate in to see if Taylor Swift's going to be at this game.
He's our Taylor Swift reporter, a beat reporter.
Nate, if you're watching, let us know if Taylor Swift's going to be in the box.
Yes.
They could at least put a cutout up there of her, right?
Something. Garrett Hendrickson, Devin Lloyd, Quay Walker, Kyle Hamilton, Pearl, or Anzalone is flex. My plan is to keep most of these guys for the rest of the season. What do you think? Any upgrades that we'd suggest?
Anzalone's been productive. It's annoying for everybody, but he has. So the name that honestly stands out to me, and ironically, because it's a little bit biased, I'll say it. It's because every time I bet on him, he completely flops. Quay Walker has been so inconsistent this year, and I don't quite understand it. Maybe you can explain it to me, Sean, because it's really bothering me. But I don't understand how he didn't get it done this week. I thought it was a perfect situation for him to do it, and it was all Isaiah McDuffie.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just slowed up or if he's taken on other responsibilities that just frees McDuffie up. That could be the case. We've seen that in the past with guys like Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, where Fred Warner is a fantastic football player, but because he has other duties, it frees up Greenlaw to run up and make more tackles. So that's what I think is the difference here with Campbell being out and McDuffie being the second guy there. Walker takes on more responsibilities and frees up Campbell or McDuffie. So I still dislike Alex Anzalone. But yeah, linebacker would be the one I would try to shore up the most. You know what you're getting out of Myles Garrett. Trey Hendrickson is boom or bust, so you have to live with that as well.
Which is fine when you have Myles Garrett on the other side.
Right.
Yeah, especially with Cam Curl and Kyle Hamilton. It's the same situation.
Same thing. Curl, he's been a little lackluster here the last few weeks.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
So, but you could always rotate your defensive backs out. I would try to stir up another linebacker. Devin Lloyd has been on fire. He's got a great floor. Quay Walker, up and down. Anzalone, good luck predicting his big games. Good luck. I would try to shore up another linebacker.
I mean, it's always tough to know who's out there in your league because every league is so unique, especially in IDP, which is why we love it so much. If a Landon Roberts is still out there, that's someone I would look after. Josh Woods, I think we're all expecting to take an every down role, and he's probably available in most casual leagues and absolutely even the ones that aren't totally crazy. I'm trying to think about who else is out there at linebacker nowadays.
Depends on just how deep this is.
And if you're still in the chat, Perks, feel free to give us alternatives. We'd love to go a little bit deeper. But, yeah.
All right, so here are the final three questions we got. Steven's going to be playing Warren over Bijan in a full PPR league. Is that a crazy idea?
Absolutely
not. I think we said before
that's great
that we would do this. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
He's also I'm going to hate next week starting Hunter Henry and DeMario Pop Douglas when Flowers and Hawkinson will be on bye.
Yeah, I feel like playing two Patriots situations would normally be a hate, but I'll alleviate you by saying they're playing the Chargers. So everything will be fine, and it's a Hunter and revenge game. So that means he's getting 3 touchdowns. Demar Douglas gets 100 yards.
That's
Guaranteed.
if if Matt can get the ball to him.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
well, it'll
was
be
the quarterback that week.
Yeah, it'll be Zappy, or they'll bring up Malik.
There you go.
Hubbard or Darius Smith?
Hubbard.
Start Kyron or start James Conner, D Hop or Ridley for the start of the McBride, or for tight end, start McBride or Kincaid. It's a simple PPR league.
This is not easy.
This is not easy.
Man, I every time I look at it, I think I have an immediate response, and I don't. I'll go Kincaid for the tight end. That's a little bit easier for me. As much as I like, McBride has really been coming into form. Kincaid is a good matchup against Philadelphia, and I'll chase that. The running or this other situation, I think I lean Kyron. I think that's where I lean. That's close. I mean, I think I go Kyron if I'm just chasing, if I want somewhat of a floor. If I need a ceiling, I guess I'll go Ridley. But I'm still not there. I'm just still not with him.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I do like Kyron this week. We've talked about, James Conner's inconsistencies. I'm not starting D-Hop confidently any week. I've seen that Titans offense. It is, it's awful. Ridley, I almost want to take Ridley over Williams here.
I completely understand why you would. I think most people would, honestly.
We are expecting a shootout here. Derek Stingley is back with Houston. So who does he cover?
Got to be Ridley.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Is Kirk's probably going to be more inside, probably dealing with Thomas. So I think Stingley can hold his own against Ridley.
Yeah, you know what? I'll jump if you don't mind. If I jump in, I'll switch to Ridley. And my thinking for it, the difference last week that we haven't had all season is Zay Jones, right? The performance when Calvin Ridley is with Zay Jones on the field is significantly different.
He opens that up, that deep threat, yes.
Yeah, that's the splits are insane. So I'll go Ridley here in that shootout you mentioned.
Okay. Then I will join you.
Yes.
That means, already kind of leaning.
You know what that means. Yeah, Evan Ingram, 10 for 203. One Jag we haven't talked about today.
Yes. With that being said, we have reached our hour mark plus a few extra minutes for all of our listeners and watchers. But with that, I just wanted to bring up that if you guys go to idpguys.org and use the code SAXGiving, you'll get 30% off a year-long subscription. But with that also being said now, Mike, where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, I mean, my Twitter's where I do a lot of my stuff at Michael__Sicoli, but I've been putting out a lot more of my fantasy content, or I haven't been putting out as much as I usually do from my own Twitter, because I've been doing it also from the IDP Guys Twitter. So if you follow at IDP Guys, you'll find me as well.
How about you, Sean? Where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, I am at Sean8386 on Twitter. I'm usually hanging around in the Discord chats, lurking in the shadows, and doing some brightness, with the previews and reviews there. So mostly IDP guys.
You're saying lurking? Sorry, Grant. Just to jump in here, he's saying lurk in the shadows with the black hood on. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You are leaning into a Darth Sidious vibe at the end of this show, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And you can find me on Twitter at Grant_Gillen. Don't do too much tweeting about fantasy football, but we'll give you some entertainment if you are following anything about the Browns. I don't think I tweeted anything about Ohio State yesterday, but I was very tempted to. But other than that, you'll find me on the Start Sit shows every now and then on Sunday mornings. And then we have brought back the IDP Plus Lounge on Friday nights. So that will be myself and our owner and founder Nathan. We'll be bringing on different guests each week throughout the entire fantasy industry. So you get to know them, and we're just having a great time talking football. So with that being said, best of luck in your Week 12 matchups. Hope you take our advice and win and get into the playoffs. But with that being said, I kind of love that word. I love that phrase, I guess, today. We will see you guys next week.